From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. Search and rescue operations are still underway after catastrophic flash flooding swept through Ruidoso, New Mexico, killing 3 people, including 2 children, and destroying homes and vehicles, leaving a tourist-dependent mountain town once again in crisis. The flood hit fast. Around 2 p.m. local time Tuesday, heavy rain began falling just west of Ruidoso, including directly over the burn scar from last year's South Fork fire. The National Weather Service issued a rare flash flood emergency Tuesday, warning of a dangerous situation and urging residents to seek higher ground. About 2.5 inches of rain fell rapidly, triggering a violent surge of runoff into the Rio Ruidoso. The river rose more than 19 feet in less than an hour and ultimately crested at a record-breaking 20.24 feet, 5 feet higher than the previous record from last year of 15.86 feet. In fact, the river gauge spike was the highest since data began in 1978. AccuWeather's Jeff Cornish said that this was a devastating flood event with the river rising that quickly and the terrain shaped by previous wildfires. It was a worst-case combination of rainfall intensity and runoff. The village of Ruidoso has confirmed that a 4-year-old girl, a 7-year-old boy, and an adult man were killed after being swept away by Tuesday's torrent. At least 50 people were rescued in swift water operations. Dramatic footage showed homes being carried off their foundations and crashing into trees as floodwaters roared through the canyon. Local officials also reported mudslides, submerged bridges, gas leaks, and infrastructure damage throughout the area. The thunderstorms also produced gusts of 60 miles per hour in several spots, with a peak wind gust of 83 miles per hour. Last year's historic wildfires amplified the flash flooding danger in Ruidoso. 2 people were killed and at least 850 homes were destroyed during the South Fork and Salt fires, which ignited near Ruidoso last June. Weeks later, heavy rain triggered flash flooding across the burn scars, with floodwaters racing through neighborhoods on June 30th. The stripped terrain and dry soil left behind posed a lasting threat and set the stage for Tuesday's catastrophic flooding. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham declared a state of emergency and has formally requested federal disaster assistance. Local residents said they were blindsided by the scale of the damage and heartbroken to see their hard work rebuilding after the fires were washed away. As floodwaters began to recede, heat is now building in the region, adding another layer of urgency for recovery efforts and displaced families. Recovery and cleanup efforts are still ongoing in the Texas Hill Country, a week after the deadly flooding there claimed the lives of at least 120 people. Blistering sun and July heat and humidity will provide challenges for those efforts. While a break from the rain is wanted and underway, the sun and heat can be brutal during July, and the days ahead will be no exception, even though conditions will be fairly typical for this time of year. The already high summertime temperatures combined with intense sunshine, humidity levels, and a lack of breeze will push AccuWeather real field temperatures to near 100 or higher during the midday and afternoon hours most days into next week. The climate around the Texas Hill Country northwest of San Antonio is not as humid as areas near the Gulf, such as Houston or Corpus Christi, nor is it as dry as, say, El Paso or Amarillo. However, it's humid enough when combined with heat on a given summer day to pose significant challenges for those partaking in the agonizing manual labor of finding the dozens that are still missing. On a typical summer day, the region sits along the boundary between humid Gulf air and drier desert air from the west, a clash that often triggers pop-up thunderstorms, some of which can grow large and intense. The Texas Hill Country will remain in that typical weather regime through the weekend and into early next week, AccuWeather senior meteorologist Chad Merrill said that thunderstorm activity is likely to ramp up over the weekend, then decrease a bit on Monday and Tuesday. But the tropical setup that triggered the stalled massive complex of thunderstorms is not foreseen in the short term for that area. The rugged, arid, and hard pan landscape in central and western Texas to New Mexico is conducive to quick runoff during heavy rainfall, even when the pattern is drier than usual. The area from New Mexico to western and northern Texas will be more active in terms of thunderstorms when compared to the hill country. The Dallas-Fort Worth area to perhaps Ruidoso and Roswell, New Mexico, will be most vulnerable to heavy rain and thunderstorms that could produce flash flooding over the weekend. Now, in this zone from the southern plains to the southern Rockies, a front will crawl southward and stall over the weekend, potentially setting up repeating downpours. That's all for now. You can find more regional forecasts and science-based articles at AccuWeather.com. And for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. I'll be back tomorrow with more from AccuWeather.